It says I'm live, but apparently I'm also blurry. There we go. Hello, knitters. Barbara Benson here. I'm an independent knitwear designer who also likes to make videos here on YouTube as Watch Barbara Knit. And the last Thursday of every month, we go live to have chat and community. It's Ask Me Anything. And I'm so excited that y'all have joined me. We've started a little pre-gaming in the chat. I definitely have turned off the ads. So hopefully y'all won't get any of those mid-roll ads that have been causing problems to people. And so I'm excited that everybody is here. Author, okay, Tracy. Okay, so, and we already have some questions, which I'm really excited about. And I always love it when people say hi and welcome in. Tracy, the authors of my knitting dictionary. Which knitting dictionary are you referring to? Because, like, if you see all of these books behind me, like, I would say probably a good 75% of the books behind me are stitch dictionaries. That is the primary type of book I use as a knitwear designer. I didn't fluff my hair right. My hair is getting too long. I've never really experienced this because I've never really had it that short. So it's not behaving correctly. So if you could get more specific, Tracy, as far as what you mean by which authors, I got a bunch. Hello, Mark, the bass player. Thank you so much for joining us again. It's good to see you. And Elizabeth, thank you for joining us. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, Daniela in Ontario, Canada. Hello, Karen. Hey, Cindy. I'm so excited you're here. I have two from the same author. So I have so up here behind my book, like 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing one. I don't know where it is. I have like 4 or 5 Barbara Walker ones. So yes, I have multiple stitch dictionaries from the same author. That's a stitch dictionary. All of these are Japanese stitch dictionaries. I keep them separate just so that I can get to them. I've got over here. So here, the books here are books by me or people I know. These are my friends. This is my friend niche. And then this is all of these are color work, different types of color work. And there are multiples in there. And then down here, we're getting into embroidery books and some stitch dictionaries. And then all different kinds. I mean, there's some more. Oh, this one should be up here. I'm not going to get that out. I'll knock something down. So yeah, I have tons of stitch dictionaries that are from the same author. So yes. Hey, Dazzling Creations. I'm so glad you're here and you made it. I 100% agree here with Sarah Jo. Says if you're looking for a good stitch dictionary, I recommend checking out several from your local library so you can see what you like best. That is what I did with Barbara Walker's stitch dictionaries, and specifically the Mosaic stitch dictionary. I actually checked it out and had it, and then while I had it, renewed it both times. So our system allowed me to renew it both times, but then you couldn't. So then I returned it and literally returned it, came back the next day, checked it back out, renewed it twice, and then returned it, and then checked it back out and renewed it twice. And at some point I realized that I had this library book for over 6 months, and I was like, maybe I should buy it because other people should maybe have this book. But it was at a time in my life where we didn't have a lot of discretionary funds. 2008, I know that 2008 caused a lot of financial worries for a lot of people. So yeah, I had that as soon as we got a little extra money that I could use as a discretionary kind of situation. I got that book because I was like, hey, maybe other people should have this book. So yes, your local library could have some really good stitch dictionaries. I don't know if you live in areas that have a knitting guild. I was actually active with the Atlanta Knitting Guild when I lived in Atlanta. And the Atlanta Knitting Guild had a fairly extensive lending library that was specifically for use by guild members. So if you have a local knitting guild, you might want to check into that, especially if you live in a larger city, because technically, the larger cities tend to have more resources. And that's just the way it is. But yes. Hello, my golfer. Thank you. Yeah, my hair. It's just so the stuff that's supposed to be shorts getting long enough that it's trying to curl now, and so it's like, but it's okay. Um, okay, so Tracy, you were thinking of Barbara Walker. Yes, Barbara Walker is like, so Barbara Walker started, and I think it was in the late 70s, early 80s, where what she was doing is compiling the oral history of knitting patterns, stitch patterns. I don't know that anyone had really done it up to that point. It was sort of like, if you know what I mean, if I say a junior league cookbook, it is where a junior league cookbook is where, the junior league of an area, everybody put like donates or submits their favorite family recipe, and then you have this cookbook that has like a huge like history of that area, and it's very cool. And so what Barbara Walker was doing was compiling these stitch patterns that were passed down orally among women mostly, and also from magazines and stuff, trying to, and that was the first one. That's the blue one, which is I think the one that I probably was using and stuffed someplace. And then once that came out, people started sending her um, stitches, like sending them in the mail, like handwriting them out and sending them in the mails. So the second treasury, so you have the first treasury, and then the second treasury, actually, it's really interesting because there are stitches in it that'll say the name of the stitch, and that'll say from like Mrs. Howard P. Johnson or whatever. And it has the person's name who submitted, again, like a junior league cookbook. Submitted that, so that the second treasury, which is the red one, is really fascinating. And then there's the third treasury and the fourth treasury, and then there is the mosaic one, which is all slip stitch color work. So there's like 5 Barbara Walker stitch dictionaries that I know of. And one of them is specifically, I think it's the fourth one, that is the charted one, which the charts are hand drawn, and that's kind of fascinating. So yes, if you were only to get one of the Barbara Walker stitch dictionaries, I would recommend the second one. The red one is the most comprehensive of the stitch dictionaries. It's like almost double the size of the first one and has a lot of awesome stuff in it. But the first one is really good because it has a lot of the very, very classic stitches that you don't, that are really like essential. I have them all because I am a knitwear designer. It's not really necessary to have them all. I have the blue one, the red, the yellow ones. I love the mosaic one. But yes, Barbara Walker did a tremendous service to the knitting community. She also has other books. There's one called Knitting from the Top Down, and she had like other, so she has more books than just the Stitch Dictionaries. But the Stitch Dictionaries really were a monumental contribution to the knitting community as a whole. I don't know Barbara Walker. I never met Barbara Walker. My understanding is she's still alive, but she no longer knits and hasn't knit for quite some time. She's one of those people that gets fixated on a single subject and delves into it like incredibly in depth. And then once she feels that she knows it, she moves on to something else. I know that she was doing horseback riding for a while, and then she was doing tarot for a while. I don't know. I don't know what she's doing now. But so that's me babbling about Barbara Walker. I think she's fantastic, what she has done. Hello, Joke, Studio Roots. I'm so glad you're here. Hello. Okay, Linda says her library has many knitting and crochet books and they're in a group so they can borrow it from other. Yes, you can always. I cannot encourage you enough to look into interlibrary loan, ILL. When I was doing medieval recreation, I would get stuff via interlibrary loan all the time, and I would be filling out forms for like that's how I got up my hands on Ein Nukakwak, which is a 15th, 16th century German cookbook. And there literally were like three of them in the United States in library holdings. And I think it ended up coming from the Yale Library. You got to do some pushing and you got to do some research, but you get the form from your librarian and you fill it out and then you cross your fingers and it might show up in like 6 months, but it's really cool. That's, remember a couple months ago, we talked about the archaeobotany of Pompeii. I got that book through interlibrary loan. You can get some really, really fascinating things through interlibrary loan, and I don't think enough people make use of that thing. Just because your library doesn't have it, if you live in a city where there's multiple libraries, one of your other local libraries might have it, and you can get that transferred over to your library, or you can get them from across the country in many situations. So love libraries. They are a cornerstone of our society, and you should do it. Hello, Elizabeth in New Zealand. Good morning. It is. I hope that tomorrow is absolutely lovely for you. Excited to have a Kiwi in here. Is it Kia ora? I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but I believe that's the appropriate way to say like hello in Maori. I can't pronounce it. I know. Hello, I hoben. Hello. Um, Sarah Joe, I'm going to come back for that in a second if nobody else has questions. The wild how far knitting has come in the last 100 years alone for such an old craft, because I have lots and lots and lots of thoughts on that. And some of them are more into the ranting part of thoughts on that. Hello, Carla. I'm so glad you came to join us with a chat. Deborah, you did with 75% superwash, 25% nylon. I want to knit contrasting cuffs, heel and toe. Can I knit them with 100% wool? Oh, knit picks. Okay, knit picks palette specifically, I would say no. I am very familiar with that yarn. Okay, so I'm going to read this question. Deborah Klein has asked, I knit with 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. I want to knit contrasting cuffs, heel, and toe. Can I knit them with 100% wool, knit picks palette? Would they be compatible together? Okay. So one of the reasons I love the aesthetics of a contrasting heel toe. If you're just doing it for aesthetics, that is fantastic. I love the way it looks. The only pair of socks I've ever designed has a contrast heel toe. I just think it looks cool. But there's actually a functional reason for the contrast heel toe, because the heel and the toe are the areas that get the most friction when you're wearing socks, and they're the parts of the sock that wear out the fastest. So typically, like functionally, you would want to do a contrast heel toe with a sturdier yarn than like what you would if you were knitting the body of your sock in 100% wool. You would want to do the heel toe in the nylon blend. Or if you're trying to push it and get away with a softer yarn on the foot, the heel toe is going to be your sturdier yarn. Knit Picks palette specifically is a 100% non-superwash 2-ply, and it's very loosely spun. I very much would not recommend palette for heel toe. It is going to it's going to wear very quickly. You can do 100% wool. Another thing that people do when they do a heel toe contrast is you can get these little spools of nylon, 100% nylon, and you carry it along when you're knitting the heel and the toe. And again, it's to reinforce that area that tends to get the most wear. But I very much would not recommend pallet for a heel toe skein, especially if it's a pair of socks that are going to get some wear, because pallet is actually a fairly delicate yarn. It's actually almost lace weight. I love it. It's a beautiful yarn and it comes in amazing colors and you can do great things with it, but I don't think it's a good choice for a heel toe skein. I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear, but it is. It is what I'm going to tell you. Okay, let's see what else we have. Oh, I hope it is your friend who you peer pressured into joining this live. Well, I hope it is worth it. I hope that you have succumbed to your peer pressure. I'm glad you have joined us. If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay. Mark the Bass Player. My latest favorite book is 6,000 Pullover Possibilities. Oh my goodness. That sounds like a fantastic thing for designing. My bra strapping here. For the designing your own Elizabeth Philpott Davis. You went you know no, I know that one word. I know the greeting, that's it. So that is tena ko tena that's a lot of I try, greetings. Greetings are one of these things. I get in a lot of trouble when I go to Mexican restaurants because I'll be like agua and they'll start talking to me in Spanish, and I'm like, no, that was it. That's all I got. I can I can ask for water and una hamburguesa, por favor. That is what the stupid owl taught me, and that's what I don't understand. The stupid owl is teaching me how to order a hamburger in Spanish. I'm like, if I'm someplace where I'm ordering in Spanish, I'm not ordering a hamburger. That is not on my list of things to do. I want a taco. I want there's all other kinds. I love tinga. There's a lot of other things I'm going to order, but I do not need to know how to order a hamburger in Spanish. That not on my list of things to do. Okay. Studio Roots. When you use 100% wool with nylon apart, you end up with just the nylon. And that is after wearing. That is a good point. Okay, so Sarah Jo says, I love Peggy Orenstein. Her work is amazing. So I'm assuming that Peggy Orenstein is the author of the 6,000 Pullover Possibilities. Now I got to Google that, peoples. Okay, 6,000 Pullover Possibilities. No, that's Melissa Liebman. Melissa Liebman has written a bunch of stitch dictionaries. I don't know that I might have one or two of them. Oh, that is cool. That is very cool. Oh, Iobin, you do the Norwegian Pearl. So technically, if you do the Norwegian Pearl the way I do, it's not really like the official way to do it. And I have had fans of Arlo and what are their names? Arlo and what's his name? I don't know. I don't know. There is a Norwegian Arn and Carlos. Arn and Carlos. They are really amazing, and they are Norwegian knitters. And I've had fans of them who they have instructional videos on how to knit in the Norwegian style. I've had their fans come over to my video, which is literally the second or maybe even the first video I ever posted, just showing how I do the Norwegian Pearl. In the comments, they came over just to let me know that I'm wrong, that that's not how you do it. So it's not the official way. I move my finger way too much. Apparently, to be officially Norwegian knitting, the index finger has to be like physically on top of, and you can't move it. It's like a picking technique. So don't get annoyed if someone ever looks at you eye open and say, no, you're doing it wrong, because they have publicly told me I'm doing it wrong on the internet. So that's super fun. Oh, I know you're not happy to hear that, Deborah, but yeah, I do not want you wasting your time. Okay, my golfer, do you have any tips on how to make the make one right and make one left more similar? Your make one left always looks more apparent than the make one right. That is just going to have to do with your tension and how you do things. If it really, really bugs you, when I have something like that that really bugs me, what I will do is I'll go in there with the tip of a needle and like tug things and snug things up and like redistribute the yarn until it looks the way I want it to look. It could be that just the way you're pulling it is elongating or distorting the stitch. Pretty much all the tips I have regards to make one left and make one right are in the make one left make one right video that I made. Let me grab that. Here we go. There's the make one left, make one right video. And pretty much all the tips I got for it are in that video. So that's all I got. Oh my goodness. Crochet and knit around New Zealand. I have multiple Kiwis. I'm so excited. And I hope we got some Australian people in here. It'd be awesome. Maybe some Indonesian people. I just love, and I know I say this to y'all all the time, I just love the international element that I get to communicate with all y'all who are all over the world, and we're all uniting under the passion for our yarny silliness. So it's absolutely, yeah, Elizabeth got me, Carlos. Oh, Cindy mentioned Unraveling by Peggy Orenstein. I missed that. Oh, Good History of Knitting. Yes. There's Rut. There's a really famous book. It's called The History of Hand Knitting by Richard Rutt. I'm just going to link that. This is where that has like lots of historical, but the Peggy Orenstein one sounds interesting. I'll have to look at that one. Okay. The new knitting magazine I talked about a while ago, have they printed any more? I have one and joined the newsletter, but I haven't heard anything. I think you're talking about the, what is the name of it? My brain. I know exactly what you're talking about. I can picture it. I believe they are quarterly publication. So it's only going to be like once every 3 or 4 months. Radical Threads. Radical Threads, I think they only publish between 2 and 4 a year. It is not one that comes out rapidly. So just hang out on their newsletter and they'll let you know if that's the one you're talking about. The Benson Pearl. Knitting Modular by Melissa Leapman is a wonderful book. However, too many choices paralyze me. Yes. Too many choices. I'm always terrified of making the wrong choice. Linda Walsh, I had someone take the needles out of my hands and told me I was doing it wrong. It was nuts. I'd be like, hello, do you not see me with these spiky objects in my hand? If you are enjoying the process and getting a result that you like, you're not doing it wrong. Okay. These people who think that they are the arbiters of correctness, just bless their hearts, move along. Just, if that is what you want to put your time and effort into, in your heart, then that is your choice. But I don't have to pay attention to you. And that's my choice. So we're going there. Hey, go Kiwis! Row counting on the okay, LPGA. I missed that one. You guys go past fairly quickly. Let me find. Okay. Okay, so I see the make one right and the make one left question. Did I not scroll back far enough? Okay, there it is. I didn't see it. Yeah, that one's zooming by. When counting rows, do you include the stitches currently on the needle in the count? Yes. Yes, you do. Because it's done. Well, yes. They're stitched. Yes. So like if it says knit 10 rows, yes, you include the stitches that are on the needle because that's a row. I mean, that seems really obvious to me. So now I'm trying to second guess myself if I got it wrong. But yes, you count the stitches on the needle. Yes. Sometimes you gotta feed the hamster and let it run around the wheel a little bit, just to get it. And thank you, Tracy, for bringing that to my attention. Y'all, if I miss stuff, let me know because sometimes y'all get a little chatty. Yes, Radical Thread. Oh, Interweave. I don't know that Interweave is publishing magazines anymore. I don't know about that. I know that Vogue is stopping. Shh, Sarah Jo, it's a secret. Okay, I do want to tell y'all something. So I will probably make like a separate video, a small like short video about this. I have some virtual classes. I have 2 virtual classes coming up through String Theory Yarn company they're in the Chicago area, but it's virtual. It's going to be a Zoom based class. So anybody can take it anywhere. And so I just wanted to let everybody know. So I'm going to be teaching, and here's a link to one. This is the one that's coming up, and it is June. These are both going to be on Sundays. This is June 9th, and this is Mosaic Knitting 101 with me. And it's going to be just a couple, like 2 hours. And it's basic mosaic. It's slip stitch color work. If it's something, I design a lot of slip stitch color work, and this is just, it's really substantially easier than you would think. There's a small amount of homework that you have to do, and then we'll just knit a little strip, and in the process of knitting that strip, get an idea, and you will learn. And really, once you finish this class, you should be able to tackle just about any basic mosaic pattern and have a good idea for it. So that one is June 9th. That is June 9th. And the only prerequisites is you got to be able to cast on, knit, purl. I'll even teach you how to slip a stitch, but I'm pretty sure most of you know how to do that. So it is June 9th from 2 to 4 Central Time, which for me is going to be 3 to 5. And so there's that one. So that's Mosaic Knitting 101. And then I'm going to be teaching this class, which is going to be on July 14th. Thank you, Tracy. So this is yarn labels and yarn substitution. And it's July 14th, again, from 2 to 4 Central Time, which is 3 to 5 my time. And it's about understanding how to read a yarn label, the information that's presented on a yarn label, comparing that information on the yarn label to the information on your pattern that you're trying to work for. And a good chunk of the class is about understanding yarn substitution and how to make wise choices that can give you the best chance at success with your pattern. The specific description is Learning how to understand yarn requirements called for a pattern, including selecting your size and calculating required yardage. Then we'll set about deciphering yarn labels so that we can make the best yarn pattern match. Finally, we'll dig into the ins and outs of substituting a different yarn for that which is called for in the pattern, taking into consideration fiber content, yarn weight, and more. It's just a lecture class. There's no homework. It's just me yapping at y'all, just like here, but we'll be in the little Zoom Brady Bunch situation, and we can answer questions and talk about all kinds of stuff. So, so that is so those are the two classes I will be teaching through string theory. They're super fun. One of the things that is really great about them is when I teach classes through them, they have one of their employees, one of their people who are participating in the class as well, and they're just sit there kind of like as an observer, and they can help me field questions, and if anything spins by like here, and just they help, every once in a while you got somebody who has to be patted a little bit if they get a little rambunctious in the class. So those, I really like that they provide that. So it's someone who is there to back me up and help me, especially if there's more people in the class. It helps control the class and keep it going in the right direction. Because as y'all know, I do tend to go off in a tangent sometimes. It happens. So there's that. Okay. Okay, so Tracy is saying, yeah, Interweave isn't publishing anymore. Or is it Vogue? Oh, I love people listening while knitting. Signed up for a subscription for Radical Threads. Fantastic. Okay, so those are the classes. Did we have any? Because there are several people that said they had questions coming in. Did everybody get their questions in? Did I miss anything? Okay. So, because y'all have been here with me, Interweave. Okay, so because y'all have been here with me, and you mostly know. So for Mother's Day, my husband got me the ATEEZ light stick. So I now have 2 K-pop light sticks, and I'm really excited about this because I am actually going to an ATEEZ concert in July. I'm very excited, and I was like, I can't take my Stray Kids light stick to an ATEEZ concert because that would just be a faux pas. But I didn't have an ATEEZ light stick, so my husband got me the ATEEZ light stick so I can take it to the concert. So now I have 2 because I'm a stay teeny, but I'm pretty excited because now I have 2 of these ridiculous things, and I'm very excited. So that was my Mother's Day present. Stay. That's probably going to tump over. What is my buddy behind? This is I don't know. Many moons ago, someone referred to this as my silent partner. So this is my silent partner, and so this actually I put this on her because of the lace video that just came out last week. So the name of this shawl is the Scarab shawl, and it is. So I have 2 shawls shaped like this, and I always say I'm going to design more, but then I always get sidetracked. When you see a lot of shawls, the shawl is like it starts at the neck, and you have like an acre of either stockinette or garter that you have to, in my opinion, slog through before you get to the lace trim, which to me is the fun part. I got to go through all of this to get to the fun part. If you look at a lot of shawls, they can be crescent shaped, they can be triangular, they can be any number of things. That I decided to design these shawls, and I call them just the fun part. You cast on a whole bunch of stitches, and it's essentially the only thing you're knitting is a lace trim. And this is the Scarab shawl. And it's one of those things that I was very much, um, I just want to knit the fun part. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to mess with all the extra stuff. And I made it long, so it kind of functions like a scarf. But the way I really like wearing it is I wear it like this and it just let it dangle down the back. And it makes me feel very like 1920s or maybe Rita Hayworth. It's got that kind of I feel like I should have on like elbow length gloves and with those long cigarette holders leaning against one of those um old fashioned cars with the top down. It just has a very, I feel like it's an because I just wear it like a collar in the front and then with the two tails down the back, and it just makes me feel fancy. But yes, it's called the Scarab shawl. Um, it's a, I would say it's a intermediate lace pattern. There's some complexity to it. There's some double yarn overs. There's some spots where you have stitches that are stolen from other repeats. So you got to have a little bit of knowledge. I would not recommend it for a beginner. But I don't know. I like it. It's designed for sport or DK weight. So it's a little bit heavier. It's not a fingering weight pattern. You could do it in fingering weight, but I think it's going to be small because it's already really shallow. And it's not something that you can just continue repeating. When it's done, it's done. Mrs. Bass Player loves the shawl. Well, maybe you should knit it for her. I think you should. If you go and look at the pictures, let me see if I can pull it up. This one has a very distinct look because this is an alpaca. It's a fuzzy yarn and it's alpaca. And it has a very soft, kind of elegant look to it. If you go and look at it on my website, you will see a different version of it that's in a more of a your standard this is silk and alpaca. It was originally knit in a DK weight that was heavier from Rowan. It's just this particular shawl has been reknit multiple times because they keep discontinuing the yarn that it was knit in. But the Ava is a really, really nice sport weight yarn that works just fine. And you can see it in the brighter color, and it has a very different look in that bright color. It really is an interesting piece. And if you like Ravelry, you can go and look at the Ravelry pages and you can see the different yarns that people have knitted in, and it can have a very drastically different look depending on how it's knit. Someone did it in a 100% gray silk, and it's just, her work is stunning. And again, it has a very different vibe to it. So depending on what kind of yarn you want to use with it, it can have a very different vibe. Thank you, Dazzling Creations. Give me the thumbs up, hit the like button, and let people know. Barbara, Brian, could you use worsted weight? I think worsted weight might be pushing it. You would definitely need to go up. It calls for a 7, and the 7 will work for probably DK or sport. If you want to push it to worsted, I would definitely go to an 8 or maybe even a 9 to get the lace to drape. And at that point, I have no idea how much yarn it's going to take. So I would only do it if you can like have extra yarn, because the worsted weight, I just don't know I don't know how much yarn it's going to eat up. Can you knit the pattern? 100%, but you're going to have to adjust your needle size and the amount of yarn you have. And it would be massive. It would make it really long. You might want to take a repeat out of it because it would make it really long. But if you like long, you can do that. It's a shawl party hard. You like the yes, I miss Fatima so much. She was kind of my muse when it came to photography. But yes, I really love the way those photos came out. She always made my pieces look so beautiful. But in that top picture, you can see the way with it dangling down the back. I just love the way it looks. Um, but it is very much not for warmth. It is a decorative piece. It's just for fun. My golfer, this June will be your second knitting anniversary. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. You are I love it when I get to be in on the beginning of someone's knitting journey because there's so much exciting stuff that you have ahead of you, and it's kind of one of those things like if there's like a TV show or a movie or anything that you're like, "Ooh, wish I could do this again for the first time." And being able to sort of do that vicariously with other people and support them on their journey is really one of the primary reasons I made this YouTube channel. Well, you know what? That was kind of a fib. It's not one of the reasons I made this YouTube channel because it didn't even occur to me that that would happen, but it is one of the reasons that I continue this YouTube channel because I have found that I can do that for people and it makes me happy to do that for people. And I love collaborating with people and being a part of their journey. But I can't say that that was anything I thought of at the beginning because when I first started, I was just like, hey, I'm going to slap a YouTube video up and maybe 5 people will watch it. So that's as far as I got. I did not predict any of what has happened. Has been a very slow process, but I really have enjoyed it. So thank you for sharing, my golfer. Karen Albright, have you ever tracked your most purchased pattern and has it surprised you or not? So, Ravelry has a lot. Okay, so 80% of my I would say 85, maybe 90% of my pattern sales go through Ravelry. And Ravelry has a lot of wonderful tools behind the scenes for the designers. And I can very easily go and look at what my most popular I can export all the data into Excel files. And so yes, I definitely have all of that information. And even just for casual viewers can go and sort my patterns by the number of likes and the number of projects that have been made, which are not 100% line up with the data, but it gives you a good indication. And the by and far with the next, hang on, I would say that the next, what, 10, let me pull it up. You guys can't see this, but I can. And actually, I can't do the screen share anymore because YouTube has been a boogerhead about things. So by and far, the pattern I have that has made the most, who has sold the most patterns, and I am willing to easily say that the next 3 to 5 patterns added together still would not beat, is a good scarf. A good scarf is head and shoulders beyond anything my best selling pattern. Now, it is the easiest pattern that I have. It is the simplest pattern that I have written. It wasn't the simplest to design. I'm not going to say that, but it is the easiest pattern to work that I have. It looks and visually it looks easy. I have patterns that are easy, but that look a little more intimidating. So I think that's maybe why some people don't buy them. But just about any knitter can look at a good scarf and think, hey, I can knit that. So it is by far my number one seller. And it doesn't surprise, well, it does and doesn't surprise me because it's a scarf. And a lot of people have not nice things to say about scarves and that they don't like knitting scarves, but apparently a lot of people do like knitting scarves. And a scarf is one of the easiest things to knit and it's one of the most useful things to gift. So yeah, a good scarf is 100% my best selling pattern. So that is, and it surprises me that it is sold as well as it has, because I keep getting kind of flabbergasted that people buy it, but it doesn't surprise me because it's one of my simplest patterns. Crybaby. Hey, Barbara. I find myself feeling bad about what I am making when I go on social media and see what others are making, like it isn't as interesting or pretty. Any advice? Um, okay. So, what I would say to that, and I want to make this is one of those quotes that has been attributed to a bunch of different people, but it's the comparison is the thief of joy. Okay. Um, if you are enjoying what you are making, and if you are making it because it's what's in your heart to be made, then then it doesn't matter if anyone else would find it cool or interesting because it's what you want to make. Now, if you are looking at things other people are making on social media and looking at your project and going, I really would rather be making that project. What I would say to you is make the other project. It's okay to not, if it's okay, and it's okay to fall out of love with a pattern that you're making. It's okay to cast something on and get partially through it and then decide, what, this is not bringing me the satisfaction or joy or anything that I thought it would. And you can dump it. You can frog that puppy. You can put it in the frog pond and do it later. You can pull that yarn out and use it for something else. You don't have to finish it just because you started. You did not sign a contract. And even if you bought a pattern, let's say you spent $7, $8, $9 on a pattern, you get to the point where you don't like it. That was not a contract. You are not obligated to finish that pattern. If it isn't doing for you what you need it to do, then kick it to the curb. If you are loving what you're doing, then it doesn't matter if anyone else thinks it would be cool. It doesn't matter because it's just, and if you're really having just maybe try when you see something that someone else is making and you're like, wow, that is really cool. Just, I've gotten to the point where I watch like a lot of food content, right? Like people making cool recipes, and I'll watch it and I'll be like, wow, that looks like a really yummy dish while I'm eating my microwave, whatever. And then I'm like, but I don't want to, I don't have the time or effort or desire to chop that much. I mean, sometimes in my brain, I'll kind of be like, you do you, but I really don't want to do that. But yeah, don't let what other people are doing like take away from what you're doing, especially if you're a newer knitter. You don't know how long. I mean, I get very intimidated, especially when I'm teaching, when I have people who are in my classes and like they've been knitting for 50 years, I've been knitting for 60 years. I haven't been knitting that long comparison to that. And I always feel like, ooh, maybe I'm inadequate, but you're not. You're doing what you want to do, how you want to do it. And if you'd rather be doing something else, do something else. I don't know if that helped at all, but I tried. Um, okay. Yes, it really is a good scarf. Elizabeth, you have made 14 good scarves? That seems excessive. But I am proud that you got your money's worth out of that pattern. I that is impressive. It's a good scarf. What can I say? Oh, you like unheated warnings and spaghetto mitts. I love the spaghetto knits. I want to go someplace where it's cold enough that I can wear those because I have them in a box and there's cashmere and they're so soft. And unheated warnings is special to me. Those again, but those are not patterns that unheated warnings sold fairly well. But that was because it was a collaboration with Miss Babs. So it just depends. Oh, Karen, you say, okay, Karen has said, I definitely limit watching some of my favorite YouTube at certain times because I know it will make me feel like my knitting is not as trendy or as productive. Okay, if there are two things I am not, is trendy or productive. I have released like one pattern in the last 4 or 5 months. I totally understand that feeling. I've signed up for a lot of other designers newsletters, and I will get like monthly newsletters where they'll be, I'm like, it's another shawl. It's another shawl. It's another shawl. I mean, there are designers out there that are releasing 1 to 2 shawls a month. And I'm just like, I don't even know. And I totally understand where it makes you feel less about yourself. Um, and if you figure out how to feel better about it, let me know. I just kind of have to like, you know, um, so there's a friend of mine in an organization I used to participate in. And when things like that really started, especially if someone came up and was like bothering her or doing something, she would sit there and she would look and she'd go, Je suis un canard, which is French for I am a duck. And what she was talking about is it's water off a duck's back. Just let it flow. So sometimes you just got to look at those sorts of things and go, Je suis un canard. I'm a duck. And I am duck. I'm tump duck. It's just Je suis un canard. Let it go. And it's water off a duck's back. It doesn't touch you. It doesn't get you wet. It just goes. And just try to cultivate a little bit of duck zen. I mean, I guess is what you can do. Uh-oh, Elizabeth has a problem. Oh, you have a problem with a good scarf. You know what? There are worse problems to have. Okay, Mark the bass player. I bought in the library with a candlestick, and I'm thinking of trying it with a wild colorway chainette. Um, with all kindness in my heart, I would not suggest that. I really would not suggest that. So the thing about the mosaic lace, and that is what in the library is that it is very difficult to do it with any sort of multicolor yarn because all of the color work is 1 stitch wide, and it really interferes with the pattern that you're trying to create. It's going to make it look very indistinct. If you are trying to pair a variegated yarn with a solid color, you have to make sure that the solid color has sufficient contrast with every single color in that variegation. And the color of that contrast yarn cannot be present in the variegation. So it gets really challenging to do that. And the chaos of a really wild colorway, the crazier the yarn gets, the lower the complexity can be of the color work, because to pull off heavy variegation in the mosaic color work, you have to have very simple color work. And in the library starts fairly simple, but as it progresses, it gets steadily more complex. So I would not recommend using a wild colorway in that specific pattern. I just got to be honest. Now, if you do it and you love it, you embrace it and you go for it. It's just a lot of work to put into something to maybe not get the results that you're looking for. But it is not a pattern I would recommend to use a wild colorway. It's an excellent question. My golfer, I had to switch to bamboo needles for my current 100% linen tee. Want to share quickly my yes, 100%. If you're doing 100% linen, bamboo is your friend. It will very much slip. It will cause a hot mess. Oh, you want to share Kinky and Bari? Oh, the CNIT. Oh, the brass doesn't agree with your work. You know what, golfer, LPGA? I have like the brassy, the old school Addies, and they smell horrible when I knit with them. I still use them, but yes, you got to watch out for if your hands are reactive to metals. I can't use nickel needles at all because my hands like eat the nickel coating off of them. So, but thank you very much for sharing that the the metal in the joins on those needles are may have a reactivity issue. Okay, thank you for sharing. Okay, Mark the place. Mark the bass player. Thanks. I really needed to hear that. I'm sorry. I know it's not what you wanted to hear, but you're setting yourself up for maybe disappointment. Color work, and actually that's something I talk about in the mosaic class I'm getting ready to teach. Is choosing colors and everything. Okay, so Sarah Joe, patiently waiting. Thank you for kicking me. Sarah Joe, patiently waiting for the rant about knitting in the past 100-ish years. Okay, so you made the comment that it's amazing how much knitting has progressed in the last 100 years. And I completely agree with that. It has done absolutely amazing things. Um, my rant has to do with a contrary opinion that happens a lot and that you hear a lot is that there's nothing new. There's nothing new. And the term unvented, which the term unvented, I think the first time we saw it was with Elizabeth Zimmerman and her point, and it's a bone I have to pick with her point that she was trying to make. And the reason she was saying it is she was trying to encourage, I mean, I understand her motivation. She was trying to encourage knitters to think outside the box, encourage knitters to try new and different things by giving them the comfort of saying, you know, you're not really inventing anything, you're just unventing because people have been knitting for hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years even, and there's nothing new under the sun, and don't worry about it. And that's what she was trying to say. Unfortunately, especially with the advent of the internet jumping into the knitting game, where you started getting all the knitting blogs, and then you got Ravelry, and then you have all of this, and the designers becoming a much more prevalent part of the industry. And that's a whole nother ball of wax with the relatively new concept of knitters actually being able to interact with and purchase directly from designers, as opposed to all of the designs coming from the design houses that are maintained by the individual yarn companies, that the only purpose of the designs is to sell the yarn, versus designs where the design itself is the purpose and the product. But that's, again, with this whole idea of unventing, and that there's nothing new under the sun and nobody really creates anything, and everything in knitting has already been done, used as kind of like a cudgel to beat designers, to beat down designers who try to come forward and say, hey, look, I have invented this new thing. I have created this new thing. And as soon as any designer, well, mostly female designers, has the temerity to say, look at me, I did this thing, this is new, there's people coming out of the woodwork with the word unventing, and there's nothing new, and people have been knitting, and you can't claim to have invented that, to tear them down. And the thing is, the things that have changed, there definitely are new things. And one very specific thing that I can talk about is Kat Bordy's Mobius cast on. Okay. The idea of the Mobius, knitting a Mobius strip and using Kat Bordy's, she invented that. That is not anything that ever existed, because that could not be invented until circular needles hit the point where they could achieve that function. Okay. That technique is entirely dependent on a tool that did not exist 100 years ago. Okay. So you can't say, oh, somebody already did that, because they didn't, because that kind of circular needle did not exist. And so Kat Bordy very, very, very truly invented this Mobius cast on and this entire thing of knitting. Zandy Peters invented stacked stitches. Nobody was doing stacked stitches. Okay. That is not something that you can go back and find. And what they'll say is, well, you can't prove that they didn't do it. You can't prove a negative. That's not a thing. I with the changes in yarn, with the changes in needle technology, with the changes in spinning technology, with the changes in color, with the changes in communication, all of these things have created new situations um, for invention, something new and something creative. So that is kind of that is my rant, that yes, things have changed and new things have come in, and it's not just the needles. It's once you put these needles, once you put these new tools in the hands of these creative people, they create new things that have never been thought of before. I mean, all of the musical notes that ever existed have existed for centuries and millennia, but you don't say, well, nobody creates any new music because since all the notes are already there, they were already invented. Sorry. So it's your fault, Sarah Joe. It's your fault. Okay, so that's. Hmm. Oh my goodness. Yes, Sarah Joe, the audacity of women being proud of their work. Yes, that is a lot of what I feel it is. Um, this Okay, from a professional musician, thanks. It is. It's this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I get a little worked up. Um, and really, it has led to designers being really fairly terrified to say they invented something, because people will attack them. They will say, "Oh, you should use the term unvented because you can't have come up with that. There's no way that you're smart enough to have." That's how it feels to me when people say unvented. It feels like they're telling me, "Well, you're not smart enough to have done that." No, you can't take credit for that. Obviously, someone else did that, and it just infuriates me. So it's my Randy McMahon. Yeah, breathe. I need to have a moment. Oh, you know what? Elizabeth said, I thought you were going to talk about the origins of knitting being from the Shetlands versus Africa. I honestly don't know anything about that. I I know that when I read the Rut book, the history of knitting, the history of hand knitting, the oldest things that they were presenting were from Egypt. So I don't know. I am not educated enough on that subject to have a coherent opinion. It is something I would have to look into, or I'd be willing to defer to someone who is actually an expert in the subject matter. Now, what I can rant on, and it would be completely irrelevant to where we are, is the concurrent evolution of pasta in both China and um, the Italian North African areas that happened simultaneously. But that is a whole different ball wax. So, what we think's, and the question that comes in there is, did Marco Polo ever actually go to China? Because there's literally no proof that he actually went. So, but that's a whole different subject matter. I have a whole book on that, and it was fun. Um, Sarah Joe, thank you. It's I get defensive. I get defensive about it because I see my friends who are doing amazing things, and I don't want to see anybody tear them down. That's not what I'm about. I'm not about tearing people down. Um, I'm about I'm about us all having fun with yarn and stuff. What else? Oh, dude, long time ago, Elizabeth asked how my project was doing. If you're on my Facebook, that's like my actual Facebook friends page, which unless you really, really want to know like what I eat, it's pictures, it's like reposting of pictures from my son from 12 years ago. It's not my regular Facebook, um, not exciting. But I did pitch a fit. Um I got a good way into the shawl I was knitting, and I did more math and I did some weights, and I had to frog back again for a fourth time and do more math. And then I actually did a separate swatch with two other yarns and did more math and did more weighing. And now I think I am back on track. So it's actually not going to look like I've gotten any farther than I was. But I've gone over and over and over again, and hopefully this is the winning combination. It is all math-based problems. The stitches are playing beautifully together. I like them a lot, but it's not, and it's really bright. It's got like some stitches, but hopefully it's going to be just smooth sailing. I got a wooden desk. Hopefully it's going to be smooth sailing from here on out. Now I just have a whole bunch of knitting to do. Hopefully I will not have to go backwards yet a fifth time. It's just been stressful. I'm making it difficult for myself. And the thing is it's not that I need to simplify the pattern. It's just trying to figure out how to get the best usage out of the yarns is where I'm running into problems. And it's math. It's all math. All math. This, I think I've talked about this before. One of my most used knitting tools. Okay. I use this puppy all the time when I'm designing. It is well worth investing in one as a knitter. Mark the bass player. If you get into more fancy stuff, this is something you find any of my beginning knitters. This is a scale. The thing you really want to look for in one of these small scales. Come on, wakey, wakey. If you look at this, hang on, let's get it to weigh something. It's not going to weigh anything because it's in my hand. Oh, it's mad. Now it's mad at me. Here we go. It has two. This is in grams, and it has 2 decimal points. So you really want something that can, because small amounts of yarn, especially if you're working with finer yarn, the difference can be fractions of grams. So that is one of the reasons why I have this one. Hey, Bio Bar, I like the scales. So the now I've had this scale for a very long time. I'm thinking maybe I should replace the battery. I've had this scale for a very long time. When I bought it, it actually was a little hard to find a scale like this. I found it on Amazon. And the store on Amazon that I bought it from also sold indoor UV lights for plants and fertilizer and very small Ziploc bags. So I think maybe I got on a list somewhere once I purchased something from that store. So there's that. Because you can also get jeweler's scales that have those 2 decimal points, but the jeweler's scales are actually calibrated to the extent that they're like for legal, like selling things. And they can be very expensive, and I didn't want to spend $80 on a scale. So to get it in like the $20 range, I ended up in that store that was for people growing plants inside. There's only certain kinds of reasons you want scales that weigh that small amount of stuff. So there's that. The jewelry scales are the best ones, but the jewelry scales are expensive. This is not a jewelry scale. Again, there's the thing, and you see how it says not legal for trade. That is what tells you it's not a jewelry scale. But I literally have had this for at least 8-9 years. So I don't know if it exists anymore, but that's what it is. Um, I've dropped it a couple times. I carry it around in my knitting bag. So yeah. Um, so yeah, that one got me on a list. And the other thing that I'm pretty sure got me on a list is when I was Google searching for I was going to TNNA and I had a limited amount of space. And what I wanted is to be able to display certain things, um, not on hangers, but on mannequins. But mannequins are really clumsy to take places. So I was actually Googling for headless inflatable women's torsos because they make the torso that it's the inflatable mannequin that it's just the torso that you can put stuff on. But headless inflatable women's torso, I think maybe got me on a list somewhere. I don't know if I'm on an FBI list with my scale and my mannequins. um, but yeah, the things we Google for, that's it's just nuts. Okay. Um, I'll let y'all know something I am working on. If you saw the most recent Swatch Lab, I did the Nubu, and I need to find it. It's wandered off. I'm going to still do the bamboo one. And when I do the bamboo one, I have been working on writing up the swatch pattern so that y'all can do this swatch yourself. It's been one of those things that always gets on the back burner because it's not really a pattern and it's not something that I really would feel comfortable charging anyone for. But since it's not something I would feel comfortable charging anyone for, it's very difficult for me to justify putting a lot of time and effort into it. And it's a chart. I work from a chart. And the big sticking point has been getting the chart into written format, because whenever you translate from chart to written, that is when the errors creep in. That is where a comma is in the wrong place. That's where you type knit instead of purl. It's just the transcribing of into written is where the bottleneck becomes. So that is something I need to, but you can look forward in June. I should be doing that. I also have let me show you. I'm going to do an unboxing. I'm going to do an unboxing in June. I got this. I've had it and I haven't opened. This is from a yarn store in Georgia, and it is Y'all Means Y'all. And this is going to be an unboxing for Pride Month. This is a Pride themed box. So I'm pretty excited about this, and I'm going to be doing an unboxing. I've been communicating with the store to make sure like that you're not necessarily going to be able to get the stuff that's in here, but so that I can show it off. So I'm very excited about this one. I love Y'all Means Y'all. I saw this on Instagram, and as soon as I saw it, I went, yes, I want to buy that. I want to support this effort, but also it would be fun for a Pride Month unboxing. So you can look forward to that. I got my box. Do you know how hard it is to just let the box sit there and not open it up? So hard. It's this swatch. Dazzling Creations. It's the Swatch Lab swatch. It's the one that, I mean, if you look at older Swatch Labs, I kind of did a variety of things, but then I finally settled on this one, and now I just do this one over and over and over again. So yeah. Sarah Jo, I could film the unboxing and then not post it till June. I could if I was motivated and and if I did things ahead of time, which I don't. I'm very bad about that. Typically, my videos come out on Sundays. Typically, I'm recording them maybe on a Friday, and that's just the way I roll. I have the particular brand of brain chemistry where I don't do things until they become an emergency, and I've just had to learn to acknowledge because I know, I mean, the smart way to do things and the way that all of the YouTubers talk about is that you should make batch things, right? You should just set up and film videos and film like your entire months of videos at one fell swoop and schedule them, and then you don't have to worry about it and blah 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 blah. I've never been able to do it. It's I don't I don't work that way. Oh, thank you so much, Dazzling Creations. Yes, I know that the chart itself has been available to people who are on my Patreon for a while, but this one is going to be finally. And I said, I mean, that was a while ago. I said, you guys can have this, my sad one. I just found out when I was looking through it that it was missing a pearl bump someplace. But now, like, everybody's going to have access for it. Okay. You couldn't do the batching. Sarah Jo says she couldn't do the batching when she was making YouTube content either. No, it is. You're supposed to, like, I should be able to sit down and bust out like 4 or 5 shorts in over a few hours and just put those in and schedule them and everything. But I can't. I don't have the attention span. Oh, Deborah, thank you. Thank you for liking the video. Okay, so we're just over an hour and 15 minutes. I really, as always, appreciate y'all. This is really, I know someone already said this. This is a highlight of my month too. This gives me energy. This gives me positive feelings, even if I did have a bit of a rant this time. Um, but I really enjoy interacting with this community that we've built. And I want y'all to know that I recognize the vast majority of your names. Yes, I'm reading them, but I get excited when I see someone that I've seen time and time again. And I don't know if we'll ever actually get to meet each other, but it you feel like you're part of my community, and I really appreciate you taking your time out of your Thursday to come and chat with me about yarny stuff. We're going to be just fine. June should be regular. Last Thursday of June we should be doing. July might be more interesting because I'm gonna be technically out of town on the last Thursday, but I'm staying like an Airbnb with my family and like my extended family, like my brother and his family. So I might be able to do it like from my cell phone, like we did when I during the hurricane. Remember when the hurricane happened and I did it from the hotel room? So if I set that up from the get-go to be via phone, then we should be able to do that. It probably won't be as long, but we can find out. Um, you love my rants, Karen. I know. I try to keep them positive, but that particular subject just kind of, it just kind of butters my biscuits. It just, it just rubs me the wrong way. Um, Yay! I learned stuff from y'all too, Cindy. I always learn stuff, and I learned like the Peggy Ornstein book I need to look at, and the it's just super cool. I really appreciate it. So Mark, the bass player, if you have any other questions about colors on in the library, I don't know if you're in the Facebook group, but you can always ask, just make a comment on any random video you want to, really, because everybody else does. It is so funny. I will get these comments on videos and they'll be asking one thing about something. I'm like, that is not at all relevant to this video, but okay. Because when I look at comments, I'm not looking video by video in YouTube. There's a spot where it's like, here are new comments. And I try my best to respond to as many of them as possible. And so there's that. But again, I really appreciate y'all coming and talking. Does anybody else have any like actual knitting, yarn, or needle related questions? We did have a couple needle questions. I mean, discussion. Really appreciate. It was LPGA talking about the needle. So we did get our obligatory. Okay, so if you're in my Mark, if you're in the Facebook group, please feel free. What you can do is post pictures of the yarns you're considering and say, hey, I'm going to do in the library. These are the yarns I'm considering, and throw it open. Say thoughts, opinions, tomatoes, and we can definitely take a look at, and I'm happy to help because really picking colors for mosaic can be intimidating to start with. It just takes a little time to learn the ins and outs of it. So, excellent. Okay. I'm just waiting to see if there's any more questions. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, where's the blue one? Now I'm worried about where my copy of Barbara Walker is. I get stressed out. That's one of those ones I got to keep around. It's one of the ones I got to keep around. Everybody hit their library. Find cool books. Yes, Sarah Jo said, have an absolutely lovely month, everyone. I agree. Everyone, seems like it's time. No more questions. Thank you for joining us. I will see you next month. Please, if you have any questions, comments, do them in the Facebook group, on a YouTube, any video. I'll be working on some new videos for June. I'm very excited about the unboxing. There was something else I needed to do. I don't know. Okay, yeah, the unboxing, and I definitely need to do the Bamboo Swatch Lab swatch. So those are two things. I may have a third thing, everything. So thank you so much. Good night, everybody. I really appreciate it. And I'm babbling and repeating myself, okay? I will see you all next month, okay? Thank you so much. I'm going to push this button. This says that, and then it says, do you really want to do that? And I say, yes, I really want to do it.